y'all. Excited. We're going to talk about all things feminine energy and just really what it looks like, how it feels. And I also want to talk about misconceptions because I think a lot of women make assumptions of what feminine energy is. And I'm aware because unfortunately there was the whole soft life movement, which I'm for, right? Because I started talking about soft life very early on before it became a trend. So I'm for it. But the problem is with that conversation, somehow it got into luxury TikTok, luxury side, and then it started turning into like just something else. So I have decided that my mission and my purpose is just to teach women what feminine energy is, what it looks and just like the benefits of femininity. And I think a couple of things that I feel are important to establish is that everybody has feminine energy, okay? Everybody is a feminine and masculine energy, right? It doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter how you identify as in the world. Everybody has some type of feminine energy. And I think it's really important to talk about it because I think a lot of women and men, they just throw around this world. I want someone who's feminine. I want someone that's soft. I want someone that gives this feminine energy. And you don't even know what it means and what it looks like. So I'm going to break it down because I think it's such an important thing. I think it's life changing. If you are a woman, being in your femininity is going to just change your life. It's going to change your perspective. And it's just going to make you operate in the world differently, right? But it's not an easy journey. So I tell people if you want to be in your femininity, don't do it if you're not ready to lose some people along the way. Okay? Some people are going to feel some type of way that you are in your femininity, right? Some people are not going to like it. And I think the biggest lesson I have personally learned, and it's a hard lesson for me because I hate when people say like I'm a girl's girl, like I've never said it. Right? I just feel like I am a girl's girl. Like I just feel like that's naturally how I move. I want women to win because I don't know if it's because I've had a loving mother who was not jealous of me. And I think a lot of people experience women or mothers who are jealous of them, or like mothers who don't like dote on them. Like I had a mother who was like, you're like, she constantly reminded me I'm beautiful. She constantly reminded me I'm worth something. She constantly reminded me of my power and my strength. And also, y'all, I hate to say this, but if you're liking my live, make sure to like the buttons. I'm only seeing two hearts. I need multiple hearts. I need to see that, we are in this live. And I also want to know, oh, thank you for the flowers. I appreciate it. And sorry, y'all. Normally I have a really nice like lighting setup. But I'm not in my home right now because my house is being fumigated. So sorry for that. You're gonna have to do what you do, but the information is gonna be good. So make sure you stay on because you're gonna get the right information. But yeah, I feel like people throw around. I'm a girl's girl. I get along with women. I'm always vibing, all the things. But I genuinely feel like if you're a girl's girl, you don't have to announce it. You don't have to say you're a girl's girl. I just feel like it's a natural thing. I also feel like, I personally want to see other women win. I want to see women, and I believe in abundance. I don't believe in trying to take something from someone else. If anything, if I see somebody and they're doing well in life and I'm inspired, the only thing that happens is I'm like, okay, how can I use what they're doing to inspire me? That's how I operate. So I think it's very interesting, how we're just dealing with so much. And I think as women, because we're dealing with so much, this is the reason why I talk about femininity, because femininity is going to get you confident, right? Femininity is going to get you of sound mind. And femininity is going to just make you believe that like the world is an abundant place. It's going to make you feel that everything is for you. And you're not going to be fighting for resources because resources, so resources can be limited. But I think when it comes to things that like can change your life, whether it's money, whether it's, even connected with men. I think so many times, let me break this down because I feel like I'm ranting. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I am speaking live. Okay, wait. So we got questions already. So let me get into it. So someone says, what do you do when he shows signs of vulnerability? You receive. So ladies, let me tell you something about femininity, right? When you are a feminine woman and when a man finally decides to open up to you, you need to take in the vulnerability. Like you need to receive it. Because let me tell y'all something, right? I know for me and my husband, things change when my husband could get vulnerable with me, right? Like when my husband was able to like just say, this is a fear I'm having, this is a challenge I'm dealing with. I'll never remember, there was a day that like my husband just finished a very like intensive therapy session, and he was like crying on me, right? And I've never seen my husband cry, right? um Please, let's not do that. I'm seeing some interesting things I'm on two lives, so let's but yeah, my husband cried. And because I started practicing femininity, I was able to absorb it. Like I was able to receive it. And what I did was I just allowed him to be in my arms, and I just allowed him to go through the emotions. And he was like, you know what, I'm gonna be raw for a few days. So, just allow me to be, and I just gave him his space and I honored it and I just took it in. But, ladies, like, I think a lot of times there's so many videos on like, how do you make a man obsessed with you? How do you turn this? How do you do that? And I feel like how you do that is allowing a man to be vulnerable. Like when you get into the inner chamber of a man's mind and heart, that is when the things are different. Now I don't know, I can't predict the future, so maybe there is a future where me and my husband are not together anymore. I hope that's not our I hope that's not our future. But I will say that, I noticed that like as me and my husband have gone on, because there's such a deep vulnerability into that he lets go. So someone says we do like it when you get into our inner chambers. Yeah. Because like men, I think men also, it's interesting, like men are kind of like babies in a sense, like they kind of have this hard exterior shell, and then like eventually you get inside and they get all mushy and all the things, and then it's like it's so interesting because like because I'm a content creator, so I spent a month away from my husband because I was doing work, brand events, things like that. And I remember like when I came back, my husband was like, oh my God, like I just felt so weird you not being in the home. And this is a man that loves the space. This is a man that's always like, I need you to give me space. I need you, like right now he's off with his friends. Like that's why I'm doing this live, because I'm by myself right now. And it was just so interesting because my husband was just like, oh yeah, like it's weird, like you being away just made me realize like how essential you are in my life, right? Thank you, love, for sharing the live. Hold on, let me see some questions. Because you know what's so funny? So I'm on a TikTok live and I'm on another live, and the other live has men. So the men are giving me responses to some of the things I'm saying. So that's been very interesting. Um, so someone says he let you see him cry. It's something serious on his mind. Yeah, it is. I'm not listening to this. I don't know what this guy is doing. When a man shares something very personal to him, he loves you enough to show you. Exactly. And I feel like when a man is just ready to let you all in, like he can bear his soul with you. He just feels like I'm fully where I need to be. That's when the life changes, right? So let's get back on the topic because I felt like we kind of went somewhere else. And make sure also, if y'all are enjoying this live, make sure to share the live as well, right? Make sure to do that. Share the live, like the live. That's how, the platform knows this is a good live. There are stars that are confused as to why something as beautiful as you isn't shining amongst them. Yep. Someone says, so why do some women use that against him? So this is the thing, ladies, like, and gents. If you allow a man to be vulnerable and you allow him to show your full self and you're using it to manipulate him. That's why I don't subscribe to the side where people like manipulate your man. This is how you make him obsessive. This is how you do the things. Like, no, because first of all, I want to be with someone who's intelligent. I want to be with someone who's intelligent. I want to be with someone who, can read in between the lines. I don't want to be with someone who, I can easily manipulate, or I can easily make him into putty, or I can easily like make him into something else. Like that's not what I'm down for. So I don't subscribe to that side of the platform where they're telling you how to make a man obsessive with you, how to make a man do this, how to make a man do that. I truly feel that the man is for you is for you. And I literally just saw a TikTok video where somebody was saying, the lady was like, if you are confused about, or, oh no, actually what she specifically said is, if you are wondering what a man feels about you, it's the wrong man. It's not it. Like it's as simple as that. If you confused and you're not clear and you're like, I don't understand what's happening, it's not it, right? But let's get back onto the topic of femininity and why I personally feel it's life changing. And why I encourage everybody, even men. I think men need to have femininity too. I think men also need to be soft. I also feel like men need to not like be hard all the time. And I feel like sometimes when men are too into the logic of things, like I know so many times, thank you, Naomi says I look amazing. Thank you. Well, I'm gonna try. Look, okay, actually, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about this. Because this has been trending, the winter arc. So I'm glad you brought this up. So, if some of y'all know me, I live all over the world. Literally, that's what it feels like. But I spend part of my time in Nigeria and the other part of my time in the U.S. And right now, they have been talking about the winter arc. And I love it because I think it ties so beautifully into femininity and what you can do. Ladies, this is the time, right? This is the time where you want to step on people's neck. I think a lot of times when October rolls around and before you know it is Thanksgiving and then Christmas and then the New Year's, people are kind of just like, oh, I'm going to wait till the New Year's to get myself together. This is the time now. You prep yourself now so that when you enter the new year, you are moving bigger and better and you're setting yourself up. The people who have a beautiful 2025 year are doing the work right now. Okay, they're setting themselves up for now. Like every conversation I have is about like 2025. Like I'm like, oh, I'm doing these things so that in 2025 I am set. Okay, so if y'all want to talk more about the winter arc, let's have that conversation. I'm seeing a couple of comments. So someone says a man needs to protect you, provide, and lead the relationship into a family. I believe 100% yes. That is the reason why I think men need to be their masculine. Okay? Men need to be their masculine because they need to be providers. They need to lead. They need to flow. They need to make the decisions. Like right now, me and my husband, we're talking about where we're traveling this Christmas period. And I was like, babes, like he keeps saying like, oh, what about Cape Town? What about Ghana? I said, why don't you lead? Come on, y'all. Like the light just came off. The light's coming back on, y'all. Don't worry. The light's coming back on. Someone said, a single mom here. This is the problem of being in Nigeria. Just the light randomly shuts off. Luckily, there's still light here, but it'll come back. Someone says, single mom here. Any advice on how to keep standards high and look for a decent man? Okay, let's have that conversation about keeping the standards high. Okay, y'all, the light is back. Okay. Cool. So ladies, this is the thing, right? And I think this is very, very important. So I think women believe once they're a single mother, like the value is declining. And that's not the truth. Funny enough, sometimes as a single mother, I actually believe your value goes up. Like you actually get like a higher advantage because you're able to prove you're nurturing, you're caring, you can take care of someone. And men like that. Men like to know, like, okay, is she a wife? Can she take care of my children? Can she have children? Like, sometimes these are the questions that men have in their head. So, if I think personally, it's to your advantage when you are a single mother. Now, where it gets a little dicey is how many children you have. Okay. So if you have like multiple children, like two is probably the limit. Even two is a little dicey, but I think if you have 2 to 3, you need to look for older men, like men who are much older. Someone says, "Hi, Chica. A man wants his own family. They don't want to take care of someone else's kids." I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. My mom remarried at age 63, and she has, and obviously she had 3 of us. And the man had his own child. He was very okay with marrying. But my mom was much older. Okay, so that's the key note. My mom was much older. The man was much older. And he was pretty much like, he's not retired, but he pretty much was like at that far end. So I think, ladies, like, you just have to be realistic. Like, if you have one child, I think it's kind of fair game. Like, I think there's a lot of men that are open to the one child situation. I do think once you have 2, 3 children, it gets a little complicated. And I think when you have one child, like, you can, as long as you look good. So don't be the mom with one child and you don't look together. Like, you shouldn't look like you've gone through something. Okay. Even if you have one child, your body should look tight. Your face should be sitting, like, everything should be making sense. Like, because, like, I think a lot of times as women, we use having a child as an excuse. Now, and I get it, I don't have children, so I'm speaking from privilege. But I will say that I have friends who are mothers and they still look good and they still look put together. And if anything, it should motivate you. Like, I'm honestly, like, once I have a child, I'm actually looking forward to that other side of life, because I feel like my body is going to adjust and change. But I also think it's going to get a little juicy. It's going to get together, and then it's almost like, okay, revenge body right after. So I think that's like one thing to keep in mind. Sorry. So someone says, "It was nice to meet you at this semi backyard farm experience. I forgot to take a picture with you." Oh, so nice to meet you as well, Queen. I just realized that men love to provide, so I just sit tight and let them. Yes, they do. They do. I always tell every woman, even though Nigerian men are very diabolical, Nigerian men are diabolical. I can't lie. They are. And yeah, we haven't liked. I need some more likes in this live. Okay, we need to spice it up. But yeah, so I feel like, what was I going to say? So I was going to say that Nigerian men are diabolical. But I think the interesting thing about Nigerian men, if you come to Nigeria, I feel like every woman should have that experience of coming to Nigeria, because Nigerian men, they actually, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are the example of what masculinity looks like. Like, as much as Nigeria, we have our issues, we have our problems, Nigerian men have swag, okay? Nigerian men swag is on another level, okay? You can't compete. When they put on that the trad with the hat, and they got the oud perfume and the little, bag. My husband took his bag. That bag, it's like, what masculinity looks like. That's what masculinity looks like. That's okay. So I always tell women, come to Nigeria just to experience what it means to, like, be around alpha-like men, masculine men, men who are like, like, the whole time I was living in Nigeria, they were taking care of me. You know what I'm saying? They were taking care of me. I wasn't paying for things. I wasn't paying for food. I wasn't paying for bills. They were just taking care of me. And it felt like, it kind of, to be honest, like, as much as I'm still an ambitious woman, it made me, like, reset my mind on what does it look like to be feminine? What does it look like to be in masculine energy? And it just made me change my expectations of people I was connected with. Someone says, if you have a choice of starting a family or ready-made family, which one would you pick? I agree. Like, for me, right? Like, I didn't want to be with a man with children. I almost married a man with children, but it ended up not being for me. But I do prefer to actually be with I prefer my situation, which is my husband had no kids before me. So that's the ideal situation. Someone says swagger doesn't pay the bills or build families. That's the other part. So Yes, Nigerian men have swag, but then you gotta look at the other parts. Can he provide? Is he stable? Does he have a future? I always tell women when you're talking to men, the first question you should ask is, are you in your purpose? That question unlocks so many answers. It unlocks so many answers. Because when you just do oh, what do you do? What job do you do? It's surface level. Because a man can, be like, oh, I'm an electrician. And maybe at first glance, you're like, I don't want to be with an electrician, right? But then if he starts telling you, like, I'm an electrician, but my purpose is this, I want to write, I'm writing children books, or I'm opening up this type of studio, or, I'm opening up a fleet of electricians, I'm working on it right now. That's when you're like, oh, okay, 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 okay. This guy has purpose. Like he's clear on where he's moving and going in life, right? So I feel like, we got to be mindful. I hate that mindful demure thing is a word now, because now, like, when I use it, I think about it. It's so annoying. But anyways, we have to be mindful of the other elements. Um, I don't know what's going on, but it's fine. You can rock with me. I got men up in here. Um, but yeah, let's go back to the topic of head as femininity. So I'm going to talk about, I think this is an important conversation because a lot of times I do talk about dating. And if you guys have questions or comments, please share. I'm more than happy to, um, you know, I'm more than happy to go into those things. But I want to talk about something, and I'm going to be very vulnerable with you guys. I won't go into the tea fully, because I'm going to try to protect the person. But it's something I have really seen, which is femininity in friendships. And I think, a lot of times when we talk about femininity, we talk about, dating and men. And I think that's the obvious thing. I think the obvious thing is that when you are in your feminine, you're on that journey, you're flowing. I think that like dating is just like a byproduct of the femininity, right? But I think the most interesting part of the femininity journey is the friendships. Okay. Because I had a mentor, and I'll never forget. My mentor would always consistently say, when you go on this journey, you may lose friends, you may have haters, you may have people that don't understand the journey you're on. They just don't understand why you're trying to be in your feminine. They feel threatened by it. They feel triggered by your light, because when you're doing the true work of getting into your femininity, you're doing inner work. You're doing inner healing. You're addressing childhood dramas. I said dramas. You're addressing childhood traumas. You're addressing challenges you face. You're looking at things head on. You may be healing parts of yourself that you didn't even know needed to be healed. Like you're doing a full inner and outer work, right? So you're doing the inner work, so that you have that glow that's emitting. Then you're doing the outer work, like you're learning about your makeup and what looks good for you, because not every makeup looks good on everybody. You're learning about what clothes look good on you. Like I'm very clear on what shapes and clothes and colors look good on me. And if you want me to talk more about that, I can, say yes, 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 and I'll share more about like color theory and all those things. And so you're going through this full transformation. But the part that I think I did not prepare for is the friendships, the changes of dynamics of my friendships. I think I was underprepared for that. I was underprepared for losing friends that may have some type of issue with it. And what I realized is every friend I lost, it was very simple. It was literally an issue of they were triggered by my light. And I don't want to say it from an arrogant place. Like, I'm not saying it from a place of like, oh, I think I'm better than them. I'm good. I'm chilling. Like, that's not even what I'm discussing. I'm literally talking about them just feeling some type of way that I'm going on this journey, and that I'm very confident in myself. And you'll be shocked how you'll talk to women and they feel some type of way that you're confident. Like, and they're like almost offended. Like, how dare you be confident? How dare you be clear? How dare you be clear on what you're trying to say? Right? So I know for me, there is at least, I want to say four friends. Let me just say three. I think the fourth one is that's another anomaly in story. But I think there's three friends in particular that I lost because of that. And what's interesting is all three of these friends, it's funny because I met all of them around the same time, in my mid 20s. And I think your mid 20s is the most interesting part of your life. Well, you'll have many interesting parts, but it was an interesting part of my life because in my mid 20s, I was doing a lot of transitions, right? I was transitioning jobs, I was transitioning where I lived, I was transitioning boyfriends, literally, right? Like coming out of a long term relationship into just being single and dating and getting to know people, right? Um, and I would just remember, meeting these girls, meeting these friends, and we kind of became a clique. We became a clique of friends. And like, it's funny because like one of them didn't F with one of them at some point, but actually they all didn't F with each other at one point, but that's a whole different story for another day, right? But basically, all three of these girls were women I met in that part of the life. And I think why I didn't see the flags at first was because the friendship was, we would have deep conversations. Like we definitely would have those like conversations around dating or, personal development and career. We would have all those conversations. But we also did a lot of like going out and being on the scene, and like, oh, we're going to this event, we're going to that event. And it was a lot of that, right? And I feel like because there was so much like parading, friendships and parading, going out and being on the scene, um, it was it was easy to miss the flags. It was easy to miss the flags. And I'll never forget this. And now if someone says that same thing to me, I'm gonna definitely cut them off. Like now when I see jealousy, I cut you off. I don't want to understand because that means you haven't done the work. And I'm not here to be, your fairy godmother and make you a different person. So I'll never forget, we went to a wedding, three of these friends, and there was a guy that was really feeling me at the wedding. And all night he was like making sure I had champagne and food and was just like catering to my every need. And again, I'm right at the brink of this feminine journey, right? So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I know I look good. I was wearing a yellow dress. I was just looking beautiful. I was snatched. Everything was just flowing for me. And I want to say maybe this was around COVID. Maybe, I don't remember. Anyways, so she noticed that, this man kept talking to me and getting me together. And then at one point, she now said, what did she say to me? She was like, the only reason why you get men is because you're bald, or something like that. Like the only reason why men are checking for you is because you're bald. And honestly, ladies, when she said that, I laughed, right? And I was like, and funny enough, I didn't see anything wrong with it at the time. I didn't see anything wrong with that statement. And I just remember laughing and I was like, oh, this is a joke. This is a joke. And I said, oh, sis, but I've always never had issues with men. Like, because when I had hair, I had men, bald, I had men. Like, I've never really had issues getting men or men talking to me, approaching me. I mean, even as a married woman, men still approach me. So, that's never been my issue. Someone said, I had a friend like that. I'm glad she's healed now. Yeah, this girl, I don't know if she's healed. When we exited the friendship, she wasn't healed, but maybe now she's actually healed. Um, but yeah, anyways, so she said that statement, and when the friendship broke up, and the irony of how our friendship ended was because essentially we as a group of friends decided to do like a singles event, right? And it was like one of those like game nights, and as girls, we're like, oh, like we all have single male friends that we can invite to this event, right? And so we invited male friends that we weren't personally interested, but might be a good fit for someone else, and they did the vice versa. And we all did this little gathering together. And I remember at the end of the night, this friend was like, oh, there was this guy who was really looking for me, he was really checking for me. And I just remember being like odd because I was like, I don't remember him talking to you. I don't remember like any indication. But I was like, whatever, like maybe I missed it. Hold on, y'all. Someone says, most of my friends think that feminine masculine energy is a narrative for patriarchal domination, but thank God we always respect each other. Okay, that's a let's we're gonna couch that there because that's a conversation around housewife, child wives, and that's a very deep conversation. So after the story, we're gonna get to that. That's a very good comment. Um, But yeah, so, the friend said there was a guy feeling her, and we're like, okay, cool. So I remember that night, somehow there was a guy that was invited, and he had a girlfriend, and we had no idea. Keep in mind, the guy also did not know this was a singles game night, so it was not his fault. He literally just came thinking it's a games night, just connecting. He didn't realize that it was a singles thing. So also, let's not blame the man. So I guess the guy goes back and tells his girlfriend, oh, like I went to this game night and I met so and so, because my friend was actually friends with the girlfriend, right? And my friend did not know. So my friend now in our friends group chat, it says, oh yeah, like I actually found out that, let's say Bob, that's his name. Bob actually has a girlfriend, and Bob knows my friend. And, it was just so funny. But I also told her that Bob was getting to know other women. And I remember all of us had an immediate reaction to that comment, because we were like, Bob didn't flirt with any woman, and Bob only flirted with you, and that's what you told us. Right? Like, we didn't know that Bob talked to any other women, and you claim Bob talked to you. So we're very confused with this messaging. And it just created this crazy fight, like this crazy fight. And funny enough, the fight was between one of my friends and my other friend, and they had the fight. And basically, because I'm one of those women who, yes, I'm a girl's girl, but I'm always going to advocate for the truth. And so I had to tell my friend the harsh truth that the man wasn't checking for you. He didn't ask for your phone number. He only looked at your LinkedIn. There was no indication that he was interested in you past a business and friend connection. So I'm a bit confused on why did you indicate to his girlfriend that he was looking for something. And now you're actually not only creating drama in their home, but you're creating drama in my business, because I actually had a budding business with Bob. Okay, so this is a very complicated web of a story. But basically, in the end, after weeks and weeks and weeks of going back and forth with her, we basically ended the friendship. And when I reacted to the friendship, because basically we ended the friendship because she felt like I didn't stand up for her and I stood up for the other friend. And I told her, well, if you want me to be that friend that lies to you and doesn't tell you the truth, then that's fine, but that's not how I operate, right? And then she actually proceeded to go and tell all these people about this so-called story of me. I don't even know what she really said to this day, to be honest. I just know there's a few people I don't talk to anymore because of her. And one thing I learned is when I started to reflect on me and this girl's relationship and friendship, I just remember being like, you know what? She was jealous of me. She wasn't, and beyond just me personally, she herself was not happy with herself. She was not in a good place with herself, and she was dealing with a lot of mental health issues, right? And I feel like instead of her coming to us as friends and saying, hey, like I'm struggling here, this is why I felt some type of way about what you did, she went left, right? So ladies, like, and gents, I really want you to emphasize that, like, when you go on this femininity journey, people are going to be triggered by your light. People are going to be triggered by the confidence you admit. People are going to be triggered by how you move about the world. People are going to feel some type of way, about this journey you're on. And I'm saying this and putting it as a caution label that if you just want to be hunky dory in your life and you're like, oh, I love how everything is as is with my friends, you don't go on this femininity journey, because this journey is not for the weak. They talk a lot about femininity. You talk about femininity, and a lot of times femininity is talked from the perspective of softness, and it's easy and you're flowing, and a lot of times it's white women. I'll be honest, like just kind of this like flowers and the birds and all that, and they give this image that's this lightness, and it is once you get through the journey. But in between the journey and as you're on embarking it's going to be difficult, and you may and you probably will lose some friends. You're going to lose some friends along the way, because, like I said before, it's just not everyone's going to buy into it. And it's going to almost like, it's going to strengthen your intuition. And I always tell people, literally the YouTube video I just dropped, I talked about how to radiate with feminine energy. And one of the points I've talked about in the video was about intuition. So when you go on this journey, you're going to strengthen your intuition, your gut, and you're going to be able just to read energies better. Like you're going to like now I'm at the point where I can read when someone's energy is light and it's good and it's beautiful and it's a connection I want to explore. But I can also read like, ooh, baby, that energy's off. That energy is off and it's not for me, and I got to reconsider the energy. I got to reconsider what is going on. And I don't need to engage, right? And I think that was the challenge I had prior to being on this feminine energy journeys when I met all these women. I didn't do a good job of reading energies. And there was signs, just as there was red flags, and someone saying we all have female, male, all of us. Yes, we do. Just like the red flags of men, and you see some red flags, and you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't be with this person." It's the same thing with friends, because with the other friend too, and I don't want to get into her story because that'll be for another time. But she had red flags, like she had anger issues. She wanted to fight everyone. She thought she was a thug. I remember I physically had to put my body in the way sometimes of her literally getting in a physical altercation with someone. And this is a grown woman who works a serious 9 to 5 profession, right? I had to do a lot. I had to do a lot with this friendship. And I remember I was consistently defending her, because people would be like, well, how are you friends with this girl? Or like, what is going on? Or what do you see in her? And I think I had so much sympathy for her because she told me her issues with her mother and what happened and the challenges of her growing up in a situation without her real parents. And I had empathy for her. But ladies, and gents, there's a difference between having empathy for someone and understanding where they are and still being friends. Like I can have empathy for someone, but I don't gotta be your friend. I don't gotta be in your business. Okay. So I think also that friendship broke down because irony is when I started dating my now husband, she basically tried to end my relationship before it began. And if you want to hear that story, say yes, okay? She tried to end the relationship. She tried to end it before it began, but she doesn't know my God is more powerful, okay? My energy is powerful, and there was nothing she was going to be able to do to end my relationship with my now husband, okay? But if you want the story, I'm more than happy to share the story because it's a great lesson in just understanding how people move and operate. But before I go into the story, I'm going to let y'all say yes in the comments. But basically, well, actually, also another thing I want to quickly just say, before I go into it is I want to know where y'all based. Like, rep your city. Where are you based today? What you doing? I always like to just know the community I'm connecting to. Okay, I will share the story. I'll definitely share the story. Before I share the story, because I think you made a very interesting point about how people assume feminine and masculine energy trying to hold up the patriarchy, right? Trying to hold up. Okay, we got Detroit and Georgia in the building. What else? Where else do we got? Where else do we got? But yeah, so I think it's interesting because again, I think femininity is being associated with like the 1950s wife. She was the homemaker. She was at home taking care of the children. She didn't have a job. And I think a trad wife is very different than being feminine because you can be a traditional wife and you're doing work. You can be a traditional wife and there's a lot going on your back. Okay. Okay. We got Paris. We got Lagos. But yeah, you can be a feminine woman um, and things are not like things are not like you're not a trad wife. So I think I want to make it very clear. I wouldn't be considered a housewife. My husband does provide, he takes care of the bills for the most part. But I wouldn't consider myself a traditional wife. I have decided I like doing work, I like being busy. But I think the difference between me and trad wives and other wives is that Number one, I made it very clear the early days of me getting to know my husband that if I have a child and I need to rest, I need to be able to rest. Like, I need to know you could take care of the bills of the house. I don't want a situation where I get pregnant, God forbid something happens, and you're not able to hold up your end of the bargain. So that was why it was very important for me that I was with the man who could provide. I think a lot of women are in a situation where they can't rest, and that's a huge problem. Okay, we got Seattle in the building. That's a huge problem. Like, it's a huge problem to me that you're not able to rest. And I think, especially as Black women, I know all types of women listen to my content, but of course, as a Black woman, I can speak directly to our plight. We have to rest, ladies. We have to be able to have that thing. So I think whenever I see people saying that like femininity is holding up the patriarchy, that's a lie. It's not. It's not. Dallas is in the house. I need to go to Dallas soon. I definitely need to go to Dallas soon. Femininity and patriarchy there's elements of it that might be, but for the most part, it's I think we're revolutionizing rest. I think we're revolutionizing how women show up in the world. And let's talk about this patriarchy thing for the moment, right? So if that was the case, the 9 to 5, 40 hours a week schedule was created by men. Okay? Femininity says, no, you need to rest. Femininity is not for the 9 to 5 hour work schedule. In fact, 40 hours does not work for us. First of all, women are smart. And I feel like we can get what we need to get done in less than 40 hours. We don't need to be working 9 to 5 every day on the dot. We don't. So that's why I never understand this thing of like femininity taking us backwards, because if you actually read the definition of femininity, it's about resting, being still, being connected to your intuition, your womb. That's what femininity is about. What part of it is about patriarchy and holding up that standard? If you want to be a traditional wife, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's stopping you. But like I said before, and one key thing that I think you need to know is women who are mothers, they may not be feminine. Mothering and being a mother is in fact a masculine trait. Did y'all know that? It is. Because when you're a mother, you're thinking. Yeah, there's emotion, but you're thinking, especially the early days of taking care of a child. You're thinking, you're making decisions, you're being logical, you're analyzing things, you're thinking about your child at every moment. You're taking care of someone, you're doing things for someone. You're literally doing labor, physical labor at times for this child. So how is that feminine? Because femininity is about slowing down and resting and being in flow and doing things that feel good for your body. And when you're taking care of a child, you may be doing something that's against your body. When you're pregnant, that is the most strenuous thing a woman can physically undergo with her body. So there's nothing feminine about, like, pregnancy can be beautiful and lovely and all the things, but it's not cute. It's not cute and flowing. It's not. It's physical labor. And that is masculinity. So let's just, make sure we're clear with the definitions and what it means and what it looks like and all the things. But let's get back to the story, because I promised y'all a story and I love sharing the stories. So this other friend, how did she torpedo my relationship, or try to, but it didn't work? So essentially, this is a friend, known her for a long time, probably 7, 8 years. And interestingly enough, she also knew my husband outside of me. Like, she had her own friendship with my husband, knew him separately, outside of me, right? So essentially, it was around her birthday. And I went to her birthday party. My husband was not invited because I think it was like an all girls thing. And then after, my husband was like, oh, I'm going to take, let's call her Natalie. I'm going to take Natalie to dinner, right? And just to thank her, because Natalie is in the tech space and was giving my husband some insight into something. And so he took Natalie to dinner, and they're chatting and all the things. And then Natalie asked my husband, oh, like, what's going on with your love life? And mind you, Natalie has never asked about that before. So this was indicating interest. And my husband responds, oh, it's so funny you asked, because my I'm actually now getting to know your girl, Chica. And he said that like she didn't really give like this warm, like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you, or oh, let me give you the tips, let me help you, let me make sure you secure my girl. Like none of that happened. Like she was just kind of like, and I was there. And but again, at the time, my husband didn't look too much into it. He just kind of noted it and kind of moved on. So let's fast forward 2 weeks later, and my husband's in my house, and he's on the phone with his best friend. Mind you, his best friend does not know anything about me, right? And his best friend calls my husband and says, "Hey, like I know you're dating this girl, but I need to, give you a heads up because I got some information that Chica is a grifter." And Chica like has this other identity or something that even makes sense. I remember me and my husband had to look up what a grifter was because we didn't even know what that meant. And so my husband was like, "Oh, okay, that's a very interesting insight. Like, where did you get that from?" So he's like, "Oh, well, Tim is a made up name, told me about this." And Tim said that this was the information, right? And so my husband is very reflective and he's very introspective. That's the word for my husband. He knows, he knows what's in between. So he said, didn't Tim used to date Chica? So is this really from Tim? Who told Tim this information? So now my husband goes a layer deeper. And Tim says, or his best friend says, "Oh, Tim got it from Natalie." And my husband was like, "Natalie? Natalie told Tim that? That's so odd." Mind you, the best friend does not know Natalie. So he's just literally sharing the information. So of course, my husband gets the information and he tells me. And he's like, "I don't want you to make any sudden moves. I know you're very upset and angry because I was about to beat that." But he says, you need to actually move very differently because this is a friend you didn't even know felt this way about you. And this is someone who is literally trying to stab you in the back. Like the definition of stabbing you in the back, because you don't know. You didn't know it was coming for you. So you gotta operate differently. So my husband basically was like, "Don't say anything to her, act normal. If this is how she wants to move and proceed, she will get so uncomfortable, she will just remove herself from the situation." I said, "Okay, cool." Do you know, weeks later, I didn't hear from her. She kind of just ghosted. And it's funny because like I think a week later she invited me to a anniversary of some sort. And I genuinely could not go because I was doing some work. And I think I saw her one other time, like a month later at a friend's event. I have not heard from her since. And it's been 3 years. No, 4. It's been 4 years since I've heard from this friend. So the thing is, we're when you do the femininity thing and you are leveling up and things are aligning for you, people are gonna be jealous. People are gonna be jealous. I don't like it. I don't like it because I genuinely don't see myself as a jealous person. It's hard for me to be. I can't be jealous. Like it's hard for me to be jealous because I think I've been so entrenched in this femininity journey. I believe in abundance. I believe in I just believe that like if like I can get it too. Like I believe you're a billionaire, I can be a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't believe that like there's a limited resources. But what I do think is interesting is that in this example there was a scarcity mindset. I think she saw that I was moving on in my life, and this was a man who was very interested in me. And she just didn't think that could be her situation. Like she just couldn't fathom that, like, yes, her too, she could also too be, have her own man and her own life. And she still don't got a man from what I know, which is not my concern because I think, dating someone and getting married, I think has to happen in your own time. But I think it's just important just to say that like these things are going to happen. And I personally feel that if you don't have people who are jealous, you don't have people that are hating on you, you haven't done enough work. It's the truth. You haven't done enough work. You haven't done enough work. Because some of the most successful people I've seen, people are shredding them down. People are shredding them. People got whole threads dedicated to hate, and dedicated to just tearing these people down. So for me, it's like it's controversial because there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to be in the mix, but at the same time, I understand that it's essential. It's very, very essential. So ask me any other questions you have around femininity, being self love, all the things. But I think it's the best journey I've been on. It's uncomfortable because sometimes, I feel like I have to be careful with how I move around and who I connect with and all the things. And sometimes you're like, oh, why doesn't this person like me or what happened? But I think I'm also comfortable in the fact that not everyone's gonna like me. Not everyone's gonna understand me, and that's okay. That's fine. Like I feel like as long as I have a good sense of people around me, no, I'm good. And I feel like a lot of times, especially around female friendships, I think a lot of women kind of like look online and they're like, oh, like this girl has like 10 friends and she's always with people, she's always out and about. And I always tell women that, like, if you have two or three solid friends, you're good. Like that's all you need. That's really all you need. Just two or three women that come through for you, that mentor you, that advise you, that pour into you. That's all you need, ladies. That's all you need, ladies, is that those sets of friendships. I think another thing that I want to talk about when it comes to femininity is mental health, and therapy. And I think this is such an important conversation because a lot of y'all need therapy. I'm going to be honest. A lot of y'all need therapy, and you need to look into the things that scare you, and look into the things about the parts about you don't want to heal, because nothing's worse than being a person who is not self-aware. Like y'all, I talk to a lot of people because of the nature of my work. Because I own a dating club, and I run that with my husband. Obviously I used to coach women. I still do from time to time, but I don't do it all the time. Um, but I do different things. And I feel like I've talked to so many people and I can tell they're not self-aware. Like I can tell that they have no idea how they appear in the world. They have no idea of like what's going on or how they're perceived or how to show up. You'll be shocked how so many people are just like so clueless with self-awareness. And I always tell ladies, like, when you are self-aware, I think you unlock all of life's secrets, because you know what works, what doesn't work, you know your flaws, you know how people are going to connect with you, you know how to get a man, you know how to get a woman. You just are very aware and you just see things differently, and you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. And there's just some people that just don't want to know. Like I don't know if it's because they don't want to know. I don't know if it's an issue of they can't know. I don't know if there's something blocking them. I'm not really sure always why there are people that operate this way, but it's so important. It's so important. And there's a couple of ways you can start the journey of being self-aware. Number one is getting a therapist. In fact, there's actually, I realized that there's parts of me that I need to heal when it comes to friendships and women. And I'm like, oh, it's time to get a therapist. Like I haven't, I usually, there's a therapist I work with ongoing, but then there's certain things that, just certain things I'm going through, certain issues or challenges I may be facing. And when those things happen, I'm like, oh, it's time to lock in. It's time to get a therapist. It's time to tap into that. So I think it's so important that, like, you just get someone who is trained, who's gonna just really connect to your mind, and they're gonna ask you the hard questions. Like I had a therapist that was just really good at like talking to me about my inner child and my inner healing and what was needed and what was necessary. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I really just enjoyed that self-reflection. And it's funny because it also, like, ladies and gents, when you do your therapy work, it helps with your marriage, it helps with your relationships. And men feel the difference. Men know when you feel like you feel whole. And I remember, just even as with my husband, he was like, you're the first like healthy relationship I've been in. where you just feel good. And like, sure, like Chica, you can always work on things with yourselves, but like for the most part, my husband's like, you feel like a healthy person. And I think this is also important because I know a lot of y'all have either seen or heard or at least watched clips of the conversation between Dr. Bryant and Cam Newton, and this whole high function, low function. And when I tell y'all that interview was the epitome of watching two different people, like someone who's literally low functioning and someone that's high functioning, that was it. That was it. Like, because I just remember being like, what is going on? Like, what am I looking at? And the Cam Newton guy was so unaware. Like he was so unaware. He had no idea. He had no idea how destructive some of his behaviors were, right? I feel like he just had it was very clear to me that like I think he has three baby mothers, eight children, and he doesn't understand the impact of that. He doesn't understand, like, it doesn't matter if you think you're the father of the year and you're trying to show up for them. Like, it's just always going to be complicated. It's going to be difficult. And so I think, ladies, like, it's so important to have that. Lack of self-awareness is in people scares me. Cam was a brick wall. Yeah, and it's crazy because he has a huge platform, y'all. Like, this is a man who, does videos every week and reaches thousands of people. And there's all these men who are like locked into his videos and they're paying attention. And it's almost like he's spreading his lack of self-awareness. And that's why, y'all, it's so important to have it, because you are every day ingesting information from people who are not aware. You are. I on TikTok, I see it all the time. I see people all the time that I'm like have no business talking, have none, and they're every day teaching and preaching, especially when it comes to dating and self-love and development. I think there's nothing wrong with saying like, hey, I went on this journey, and come on this journey with me, or we're all learning together. Like, that's one thing, but there's some people who are like, I'm an expert and I know what I'm talking about. And then you look at them, you're like, something's not adding up. something's not something's not adding up. Like, you're not fully where you need to be, you know? So I just think it's so important. I think it's so important to have self-awareness, to get a therapist, to get a coach, to get someone who's just going to work with you and who's gonna wants to see you win. And also do this for your business or your career. I know for me right now, I'm in an interesting stage, and where I am trying to level up with my business, and I'm hiring people to work with me, you know, and I'm putting myself into positions where I'm mentored. And it's the same thing, ladies. Like, if you're trying to get married, or even if you are married, like, I know for me as a married woman, the next stage in my life is to work with a therapist and a coach that's helping me as a married woman. And what does that look like, and what does it mean? Because, y'all, the easy part is to get married. That's the easy part. People always like, well, how do you find the man, and where do you find him, and what's going on? That's the easy part. If you go outside and you look good and you present a certain energy and you put yourself in consistent position to connect with men, meaning like you're open, you're vulnerable, you're just giving good signals, you are going to attract a man. You're going to attract a man. You will. You'll attract multiple men. And at the end of the day, you make a decision, you pick the one that's for you, right? But I feel like a lot of times we forget that the real work starts when you get married, right? Like, me as a married woman, I love my husband, but I'm like, wow, sometimes it's like, okay, is this, like, it's just, you just have those days, you just have those days where you're like, I'm really integrating my life with someone else. I'm really learning how to be connected with someone else spiritually, mentally, physically. Like, and it's a lot of work, and you need help. And I feel like for me, femininity, let's bring it back home, is about being vulnerable enough to say, I need help. It's about being vulnerable enough to say, there's things I need to work on. There's things I need to do. There's things I need to get into. And if I don't do those things, I'm never going to level up. I'm never gonna glow up, you know. And a lot of times I see all these glow up YouTube channels and they talk a lot about like, oh, like just do this and this and this to glow up. And it's true. You know, ladies, like I'm very into my physical appearance. Like right now I'm on my weight loss journey. Again, you're always on a weight loss journey. And I'm doing things to, make sure I look good. Like I did 6 months of Invisalign. See the teeth? To straighten my teeth, whiten my teeth, get it together because I was like, you know what, that's important to me. And now I'm losing the weight and I'm kind of going on a transition of even how do I show up and the clothes I wear and all the things. And I'm doing all these different things, right? And I know for me, ladies, like it's the glow up stuff on the physical is the 1%. The real work is the 99% inside. That's the real work. Like the real work is doing the things that make it difficult. Someone says, I have people like that in my entourage. I think they're aware, but they're afraid of what self work can bring into their life, and staying at the same stage is comfortable. And so here's my message here. If y'all don't hear nothing else, because I wish somebody had told me this. And it's actually making me want to. I think I'm at the stage of my life where I want to start to befriend like women who are in their 50s and up, and get like I honestly wouldn't mind being around a positive women in their 50s because I feel like and that's making I need to make a mental note to reach out to a mentor, but because like I think I made the mistake of I saw people who were too comfortable where they were. I saw people who lacked self-awareness. I saw people who had inner work they needed to be done. And I made the mistake of like almost ignoring it or being like, oh, that doesn't bother me. Or, yeah, they had a fight with that person, they argued with that person, that's not gonna impact me. It does. That was the number one mistake I made. It comes around, y'all. It comes around. Each one of those friends where the friendship ended, there was parts of the friendship that was very clear did not work. There was parts of the friendship where I saw lack of self-awareness. And in the end, it bit me in the butt because I didn't nip it at that time. I didn't address it at that time. So if circled around friends or people that you feel like need to do inner work, then I think the thing you need to do is ask yourself, okay, how is this friendship serving me? Is it time to have a conversation? Is it time to lean back? Whatever that may look like. But I think it's really important you address it because I didn't. And I wish somebody told me, Chica, when you are connected to a person and there's a disconnect and you see self-awareness, address it. Don't just be like, oh, it's cool, it's fine, we're good. Like it's not gonna come back on me. No, I made that mistake. And I made that mistake. And each one of these friends, they exhibited some behavior that did not align with me. They did some behavior that was actually offended me. They did some type of behavior that I should have addressed at that point, and I made the mistake of not doing it. So, y'all, please don't. Please don't. Please, please, please don't. If you have friends like that, it's time for a conversation. It's time for a conversation. If you have friends that are not making sense, if you have friends that lack self-awareness, it is time for a conversation. I know for me, there was a friend recently I had to have that conversation with. And, I don't know. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they stand. But if we don't continue the friendship, I can at least have the peace of mind that I said something. And they really can't say, oh, well, Chica didn't say nothing, or Chica was fake, or Chica this, or Chica that. Like, I can at least say, well, I said something. I tried to make it clear and plain where I was. But anyways, y'all, my phones are about to die, so they need to be charged. But I am happy because I pushed myself to do this live today. I almost didn't do the live because I was like, I'm not in my house. I don't have the good lighting. I don't know what's going on. But it actually ended up working out because y'all are still rocking with me. Of course, I'm going to be dropping feminine energy content, videos, all things feminine energy. It's a movement. It's not a one-off thing. It's not a trend. I know some people are like, oh, it's a trend. It's not. It's not a trend. We all need it. It's important. So I am dedicating my videos to these conversations, to these content. Interact with my content, like my live, like my share my content, share my I'm on YouTube and TikTok. So, I'm enjoying it. But I will see you guys later. Bye.